Gone are those days where Africa was seen to be a no-go zone when it comes to business. Many African countries have undergone aggressive reforms that have transformed the continent into a massive magnet of investment. Now, a very good example is Ivory Coast. Ivory Coast is a very small country in West Africa. Ivory Coast have managed to attract 600 French companies over the past few years that are generating billions of dollars every year. According to the World Bank, 30% of the top 10 fastest growing economies in the world are African countries. More to that, the return on investment in African countries is the highest all over the world. The average return on investment in Africa is about 14%, meanwhile the world's average is at 7%. This actually means that you are going to gain twice as much when you invest in Africa than when you invest in another continent. Welcome to Africa Today, dear royals. The number of millionaires in Africa is going to increase by 42%. That's why in Africa Today, we are producing videos based on business, entrepreneurship, and investment so that you become part of it. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please, I don't know what you're waiting for. It actually costs you nothing. Massage the like button so that you become the first to know whenever we upload a video. The ranking in this video is actually based on several indicators from the World Bank, African Development Bank, and the United Nations. We are talking about how easy it is for foreigners and locals to start businesses in these countries. We are also talking about the political and economic stability of these countries. We are also talking about the level of corruption in these countries. All of these have been put together and ranked by Statista. Please do watch to the end of this video. Number 3, 2, and 1 is going to surprise you. Also, let us know in the comments section below which country should be in this list that is not actually in the list. We are starting the countdown with number 10. At number 10, we have the Francophone West African country, Ivory Coast. Bonjour les Ivoiriens. I'm just trying to test my French. So Ivory Coast is one of the fastest growing economies in Africa. It has a very impressive growth rate of 6.7%. That is very impressive when you consider the world's average of 2.1%. Now, the average growth rate in the whole world is 2.1%, and Ivory Coast is right up there at 6.7%. Now, this is very, very impressive. It actually shows that the country is actually making thrives, it's actually making efforts, actually making reforms to move to the permanent side. That's how the church people call it in Africa. When the pastor tells you that you are moving to the permanent site, it actually means that you are doing well. There are many reasons why starting up a business in Ivory Coast is going to be very easy. The first thing is, I told you about the reforms. The second thing is, you can totally do this thing online. You can actually register your company online. You can actually pay your taxes online. This is something that was not there at first. That's why it was difficult to actually do business in these countries. You can make a building permit online. Other reasons include reasons that are going to elevate the whole region, like the Trans-African Highway. Now, this highway is going to link Ivory Coast to major markets like the Nigerian market, the Ghanaian market, and the Senegalese market. Ivory Coast is the largest producer of cocoa in the world. That is very huge when it comes to business opportunities. Among the different kinds of businesses that you can actually set up in Ivory Coast, you can actually start up a chocolate processing industry in Ivory Coast. Now, a ton of cocoa in Ivory Coast, which is the main raw material in the production of chocolate, costs about $1,000. The good thing is you can actually use a ton of cocoa to produce 700 kilograms of chocolate. Now, imagine the amount of money you can actually make back in your country. There are 600 French companies in Ivory Coast. There is something the French have found in Ivory Coast that many people don't yet know. And from all the people who have testified, who have actually started up businesses in Ivory Coast, everybody is saying the same thing. Business is moving very, very well. I told you earlier that return on investment in Africa is 2 times more. When I say 2 times more, you might not understand. It's 14%. Meanwhile, that of the rest of the world, the average of the rest of the world is 7%. Meaning that if you invest in these countries, you're going to make lots of money. Now, let's move to the next. The next country is actually Togo. Now, Togo is a very small country found in West Africa. Now, many people are going to be surprised that a small country like Togo, with only 8 million people, is finding itself among the top 10. Now, the reasons are very clear. Togo has an impressive growth rate of 7.8%. Before the free trade zone in Africa was activated, Togo had a disadvantage of size and could not actually sell its manufactured goods out of its country. So, because they were aware of that disadvantage, they carried out aggressive reforms in order to make a balance between their disadvantage and their attractiveness to carry out business. So when the African Free Trade Zone was activated, Togo became a star. So Togo's size don't actually matter. Now, and Togo's strategic location crown everything. It is actually in the crossroads between Nigeria, Ghana, and the Senegalese market. In addition to that, Togo is heavily endowed with precious minerals. We're talking about diamond, gold, and limestone. And it's actually due to limestone that Africa's richest man, Aliko Dangote, signed a contract with the Togolese government to start one of the biggest cement factories in West Africa. If you want to start up a cement industry, Togo is going to be one of your best bets. At number 8, we have Seychelles. Now, Seychelles is a magnet for tourists. Now, it is very easy. When you look at pictures from Seychelles, you understand easily why it is a magnet. It has one of the clearest waters in the world. It is very stable. It has a very strong economy. Its financial system is wonderful. You can easily open up your business from any part of the world. You can register your business from any other part of the world. And talking about corruption, it is near zero, because actually there isn't any zero corrupted country in the world. Every country in the world is corrupt, but to an extent, corruption is not really much. Corruption is very small. There's corruption everywhere. Even in the Iceland, this country has very little corruption. Now, there's one thing I'm always saying. When I list these countries, I always give an example of a business that you can actually do in these countries. Now, these examples that I'm giving, please take good care of these examples. Take note of these examples, because these examples are actually examples where these countries have a competitive advantage. What do I mean by that? Nearly all other businesses can actually do well or can actually thrive in these countries because they have already created the environment for that to happen. But then these businesses that I'm giving are like a step further, like they are at world class. Take Ivory Coast as an example. You cannot trade in cocoa and do chocolate business and actually make profits from any other part of the world if you want to really do it transparently. You cannot do it elsewhere and make money the way you can do that and gain when you deal with Ivory Coast. In Seychelles, what they have is beauty. It's like God took more days to build Seychelles. That is its own currency. It is very beautiful. And talking about currency, Seychelles has a very powerful economy. It uses the rupee as its currency. But remember, the Seychelles rupee is 5 times stronger than the Indian rupee. The Indians also use rupee. So if you are thinking of opening a business like Airbnbs, hotels, you should actually think about Seychelles. Seychelles is the perfect place for you. Now, many people have the habit of just standing behind their houses and opening a business because they have a plot or one other thing. You should actually look at places that have competitive advantages, places that have all the things on ground to make that business flourish. Now, Seychelles has some very impressive figures. Its growth rate is about 7.9. Its score of ease to do business is 61.7. Now, the sweet part about Seychelles is that the government gives very attractive incentive to foreign investors. So what are you waiting for? We have Zambia. According to statistics, Zambia's score for ease of doing business is 66.9. Now, that is very impressive when you actually look at many other countries. So as we list these countries, as we list all these businesses, you actually understand that the future of investment is in Africa. Now, talking about Zambia, Zambia has so many minerals: nickel, lithium, copper. Now, copper is very important. Zambia is the largest producer of copper in the world. We are all moving to electronic whatever, and the world's population is increasing very fast. Not only is the world population increasing very fast, meaning that we'll need more homes, meaning that we'll need more wires to wire those homes. We'll also need more electric cars because fossil fuels are things of the past. The days of fossil fuels are gone. One problem I have, especially in Africa, is that people feel very contented within their countries. You want to open up a business, try as much as possible to look at another African country. What is this African country having that my country is not having, and how can I do business with other African countries so that I can grow my business more? Now, the Zambian government is one of the few governments in the world that actually supports startups. If you want to start up a company, you get to Zambia, you are going to have the right incubation energy that you need to boost your company and start up your business. And why not become a millionaire? That is the objective of this channel. The objective of this channel is to produce as many millionaires as possible. So our next country is South Africa. Now, how did you think South Africa was not going to be in this list? It is very impossible for us to have the top 10 in Africa and South Africa is not among. In 2017, South Africa was ranked the best country in Africa to invest in. So this country have had a consistent good record of making a good environment for businesses to flourish. So South Africa is a very good place to be. Its import and exports every year amounts to billions of dollars. So why should you do business in South Africa? South Africa is the second largest economy in Africa. Secondly, it's the most diverse economy in Africa. Thirdly, everything can be done online. If you want to go to South Africa, if you want to open up a company in South Africa, you can actually do this thing online from any part of the world and you're going to succeed. The economic ecosystem in South Africa is very good, especially with the rapidly expanding middle class. Now, this particular group of people are just exploding in numbers. South Africa has one of the fastest growing middle class in Africa. And who talks about middle class expanding also talks about the increase in purchasing power. These are actually the people that buy. These are the people who are able to go to the hospital when they're sick. They're able to buy what is actually proposed on them. So whatever business you are trying to start in South Africa is actually going to go on very well. But to give you a hint, real estate can do very well in South Africa because over the past years, real estate demand increased in South Africa. The commercial real estate demand increased in South Africa by up to 40%. And that is not South Africa alone. We have other countries like Nigeria, Ghana. I just want to seize this opportunity to talk about other countries who have also had the same trend. South Africa is having that same trend, like Ghana is having the same trend, like Nigeria is also having the same trend, like Egypt. Egypt, they have seen a boom in commercial real estate by up to 400%. That's a very big business opportunity right there. So what are you waiting for? Take a plane and actually start doing business in South Africa. Now, the fifth most attractive place to do business in Africa is Egypt. Now, this is very understandable. Everybody can understand easily why this is the case. If you look at the map, Egypt is actually found on the crossroads between three different continents. That is Africa, Europe, and Asia. Egypt also serves as the gatekeeper of the Suez Canal. Now, this is very strategic and gives Egypt a very influential role when it comes to business in Africa. What is very, very, very attractive again about Egypt is that it has a very low cost of living. If you want to start up a business and you have a very low budget, Egypt is just your answer. The cost of labor is very cheap in Egypt. More to that, Cairo is among the top 20% of the least expensive cities in the world. More to that, the Egyptian government is constantly making reforms to boost investor confidence. Many multinational companies have opened hundreds of businesses in Egypt. I'm talking about huge giants like Bosch, Siemens, Nokia. All of these companies are having branches in Egypt. So this is a very good indicator or good indication that business environment is very good here. So what are you waiting for? Get to a plane and actually do some business in Egypt. The next on our list is an East African country. Now, I told you number 4, number 3, number 2, and number 1 are going to surprise you. But to me, number 4 is not surprising. The next is Kenya. Kenya is not a surprising fact that Kenya is this close to be one of the best places where you can invest in Africa. When you look at the Kenyan president, you see that the Kenyan people are people that are not joking. These guys, they want change. This Kenyan president is not only doing reforms in Kenya, but he wants that Africa should actually carry out the reform. Now, this speaks a lot of things about Kenya. He wants that the borders should be open. I'm talking about President Ruto. He's actually working that the borders of Africa should be open. Now, these borders were opened on paper, but they have not been opened physically, totally. So he wants that this border should be clearly opened so that everybody can do business as we are talking right now. So Kenya is having number 4 spot, and it has a score of up to 73.2. I'm not the one who is making this up. This is according to Statista. I think this position is well deserved by Kenya, and I know Kenya can do far more than this in the future. As a result of its reforms, Kenya has moved 31 spots on the Doing Business ranking by the World Bank. Together with the American tech giant IBM, the Kenyan government has designed a platform where all businesses can be processed. That is, if you want to start up a business, you just need to go to that platform. You sign up, you can process all your documents from A to Z, and you start doing business. So at number 3, you have another country, a very beautiful country found in Northern Africa. I know many people have been asking already. I said it was going to surprise you. To some people, it might not surprise them. But then what I'm going to say is going to surprise even those that are not surprised that it is coming in number 3. Now, this country is no other country but Morocco. There's a lot to talk about Morocco, but since this video is not about Morocco, we'll say the essentials. Now, Morocco has something that no country in the world have in abundance. And that thing that Morocco has is what we call phosphorus. Now, phosphorus, Morocco has about 80% of the world's phosphorus. Now, phosphorus is an element that is actually found in fertilizers. Some people say fertilizers, but yeah, we see fertilizers every day. You see fertilizer every day, that's true. But then, the special thing about phosphorus is that phosphorus cannot be synthetically produced. That makes Morocco very special in the world. Morocco has been projected to be a world power, a country that can become more powerful than any country in Europe, more powerful than any country in America, in the North or South America, in Asia. Morocco can be a world power just because of phosphorus. In the future, the phosphorus in the world is going to be depleted. And we have not had a solution up to now on what is going to replace phosphorus. And we know phosphorus is not like gold. It's not like diamond, that if we don't have diamond, we don't have gold, we'll still live. Phosphorus is a mineral that actually is used in the production of fertilizers. And as we know, the world's population is gradually increasing. And when the world's population increases, people will demand more food. And when people demand more food, it means that there will be pressure on agriculture. And we know that agriculture only moves now easily because of fertilizer. So Morocco is going to have a very soft spot. No mineral in this world is going to be as expensive as phosphorus in the years ahead. Just take a look at these prices. The price of phosphorus has jumped over the years, and some countries, example China, have banned their exports. China was first of all an exporter of phosphorus, but China has banned its exports. So talking about phosphorus, Morocco is going to be a very powerful country. So why should you not invest in a future superpower? Now, it is not only investing in something that is going to happen in 100 years or in 50 years. No. As of now, Morocco is still that country where you still want to invest. Why? Because Morocco is actually carrying a lot of reforms. We talked about taxes. It's having very low taxes when it comes to investment. Low corporate taxes. Morocco has very low corporate taxes. Its financial system is very stable. Economic system is very stable. It has been a very stable country politically. Also, its proximity to Europe also opens it up to the huge European market. And we cannot talk about Morocco without talking about the role that Morocco plays to Europe right now. Many companies in Europe have actually opened branches in Morocco because of cheap labor. Just look at Europe. The standard of living in Europe is very high, and Morocco is just next door, about 14 kilometers. I mean, that's the difference between Europe and Morocco, about 14 kilometers. Many European companies have actually relocated to Morocco and are actually manufacturing there at a very low cost. So Morocco is a very good place for you to locate your business because the market is there. Europe is the market, and Morocco has also business ties with Africa. It's also a signatory to the Free African Trade Zone. So if you're in Morocco, you look across the border, you are seeing Europe, which is a very huge market. You also look at Africa, you also see a very big market that is opened up. More to that, Morocco links the Middle East through the Trans-African Highway and the Arab Connection Project. So why should you not invest in Morocco? So having said that, we are going to go to number 2 on our list. I told you these countries are just going to be surprises. I know by now you'll be thinking of very big economies in Africa because Africa has many big economies that I have not yet talked about. Now, the second country that is most attractive to investment in Africa is an East African country. What is actually with these East African countries that make them keep coming up to this list? Now, practically, one of the reasons is low income tax. I've not called the country yet. But then this country does not even have a seaport. But it is on the second of the list. I told you it was going to be a surprise. No seaport, and it's a very small country. That country is no other country but Paul Kagame's country, Rwanda. Now, Rwanda actually comes second on the list of best countries to actually carry out investment in Africa. The government has invested very heavily in IT. Among many other things, Rwanda has political stability, economic stability, very little corruption. I said there is no country that has no corruption. But the corruption here is not a thing. Corruption is just like, I don't know, it does not even exist. So I'm sorry, it exists. Corruption actually exists, but it's very small. It's near zero. Corruption is near zero. So these are factors that are actually making Rwanda very special. Rwanda takes technology very, very seriously. Now, coding starts in elementary school. Meanwhile, in most other countries, children are taught how to draw the parts of an insect and all that. In Rwanda, kids in primary school are taught how to do coding. And this aspect have actually made the country to be a kind of technological hub, a kind of Silicon Valley in Africa. So if you want to produce an app for your business, no matter how big or how small your business is, you can actually go online and look for Rwandan IT experts. These guys are very affordable and are very good in what they do. They'll design any kind of app for you at a very good price. In addition to all these attractive indicators, the Rwandan government provide huge incentive for startup companies. So if you want to actually start up your company, Rwanda is a very good place to start. Still not convinced? Rwanda's economy grew by 9.2% in the first quarter of 2023. In order to appreciate this, again, you need to look at the world's average at 2.1. Having said that, we have to go to number one. Before we go to number one, I want to talk about some honorable mentions. We have Nigeria. We cannot talk about business in Africa without calling Nigeria the Igbos. They are the most entrepreneurial tribe in the whole Africa. The richest man in Africa comes from Nigeria. The second honorable mention is Ghana. Ghana, political stability, I don't know, it doesn't have a rival. It has one of the strongest currencies in Africa. Botswana, it has very good reforms. I'm going to make a video talking about how Botswana got rich. Botswana is a very rich country. Don't be fooled. That said, we are going to hit number one right now, and that is no other country but another island country that is found in the Indian Ocean. Now, this country, I know nobody is expecting this country. I myself was very surprised when I saw this country, but because of the extensive research that I've done on African economies, I was like, no, it deserves it. Now, the best, the number one is Mauritius. It's a very small country, a very, very small country, but Mauritius has nearly everything that any investor would like. When you talk about investment, Mauritius has everything. Many people are going to be surprised to see Mauritius. That is very certain. I've been making polls on African countries. There are many indicators that Mauritius is always coming the best. But people are never voting Mauritius because some people have never heard about this country, Mauritius. But this country is the most attractive country to carry out business in Africa. Actually owes its success to many things: its financial stability, its economic stability. Mauritius have been very consistent in outranking many African countries over the past years when it comes to the ease of doing business. So it is not by coincidence that this year is Mauritius. No, it has been on the top for a very long time. When you talk about tourism, Mauritius is a very beautiful place. And just like Seychelles, it's very good for tourism. In fact, Mauritius can easily be the Singapore of Africa. Mauritius is actually the 13th best attractive country to do business in the world. So that is it for the top 10 best countries in Africa. I have one other thing for you, but before we go there, please, I want you to like this video and also subscribe to the channel. This is going to make Africa grow. This is going to make information of Africa go around the world, because many people in Africa don't even know about the continent. Many people around the world don't know much about Africa. Some people actually think that Africa is a country. Yeah, many people around the world think that Africa is a country. That many African Americans, we interviewed many African Americans, many of them don't actually know that Africa is actually divided. So this video is like an educative video. Is going to like make people to understand that Africa has different countries that have different problems. That is it for the top 10 best attractive countries to do business in Africa. I have a poll. Which is the richest African country? Please keep your comments down below. See you in the next video. Bye.